I thought our marriage was perfect until I discovered my wife's secret past. Now I can't trust her, and divorce seems inevitable. You know, I can't tell if I'm just being paranoid or if there's something really going on. I'm Eli, a 38-year-old guy, currently on a camping and hiking trip with my wife, Liv, who's 36. We're out here with 3 other married couples: Dom and Kate, Sean and Sarah, Bill and Miranda, plus Liv's longtime friend Ian and his boyfriend Odie, whose real name is Orlando, so he wasn't named after the dog in Garfield. We're all in our mid-30s to early 40s. We're a bunch of outdoor enthusiasts and have been wanting to tackle this hike for quite a while. Our routine is camping at night and hiking during the day. Everything was great until the evening of our 3rd day, out of an 8-day hike. We stopped to set up camp, and Liv and I decided to explore a bit around the campsite. We stumbled upon a small waterfall, about 5 feet high, feeding a stream that snaked along our trail. It cascaded down onto some hard rocks below. Liv said she wanted to rinse off in the stream and waterfall, but didn't want to soak her clothes. I told her to go ahead since we weren't too far from the others, and the spot was pretty secluded. She took a quick dip, lingered a bit, then stepped out and tried to air dry, using a small hand towel we had. Just as she slipped her shorts and underwear back on in one move, Ian came around some trees. Liv was still completely topless, and here's where it got strange. Neither of them reacted. She just kept dressing, and he walked up like he'd seen her naked 100 times before. Ian mentioned something I can't even remember now that Dom wanted us to know. Liv and Ian made some idle small talk, and then we all headed back to camp. Now it's day 5. Our trail brought us to a small town, and there's an inn that caters to hikers. We had planned to stay here for the night to rest and resupply. For the last 2 days, I haven't been able to stop thinking about what happened by the waterfall. I've been trying to hide my feelings, but this morning, Liv asked why I was so quiet yesterday. I told her I was just tired, but really, I can't shake the feeling that something might have happened between her and Ian before. I'd be less suspicious if Ian were gay, but I know he's bi. I've known Ian for about 8 years, and consider him a friend. Us husbands and Odie are the outsiders here, while Liv, the other wives, and Ian have been friends since college. I've asked Liv before if she ever dated Ian, and she always said no. She also denied that Ian had been involved with any of the other women in our group. Maybe I am just paranoid, but their interactions seem so familiar, especially with her still being topless. Normally, Liv is pretty reserved about her body, so not reacting at all to Ian's presence was odd. I have no solid reason to think anything inappropriate is happening, but I'm starting to wonder if there's more to their past than just being friends. Am I being paranoid? Is this a red flag? I'm really trying not to jump to conclusions here. It's the crack of dawn on day 6 here. I had a serious talk with my wife, Liv, about what happened at the waterfall. I wanted to catch her while we still had some privacy before hitting the trail again, and boy am I glad I did. I tried to bring it up as gently as I could, mentioning that it seemed odd she wasn't fazed by Ian's presence, even though she was topless. If she'd responded differently, I might have let it go, but she got defensive right away. Is that why you've been moody? It's not a big deal. Everyone's seen tits before, even Ian. You need to grow up. That really set off alarms for me. Liv usually only gets aggressive when she's feeling guilty, so I pressed further, and she became more evasive and defensive, trying to downplay everything I asked, even throwing in a bit of gaslighting. I finally had enough and told her, either you tell me what's going on, or I'm going to confront Ian, and you know he won't lie. That's when she admitted she and Ian had a sexual past. I was furious and asked why she lied when I'd asked before. She claimed she didn't lie because they never dated. It was just a friends with benefits situation right before we got serious. So, you were sleeping with him when we first started dating? I asked, my voice rising. She snapped back. You don't have to be so vulgar. I don't want to talk about this right now. Can't we discuss this after the trip? I fired back. Absolutely not. Either you tell me everything now, or I'll start questioning your friends. Seeing I was serious, she spilled the whole truth. Liv had a string of bad relationships before we met, which she blamed on jumping into bed too soon. When we started dating, she asked if we could take things slow, and I agreed because I was also looking for something special and was really interested in her. She mentioned that until we were official, I could date others. I told her I wasn't interested in dating around and wanted to focus on one relationship. That made her happy. Then she dropped a bombshell about her friends. Liv, Kate, Miranda, and Sarah all had similar friends with benefits arrangements with Ian while dating their current husbands. After college, Kate was tired of dating the wrong guys, so she and Ian became friends with benefits. When she met Dom, she asked to take things slow and get to know each other better, all while still sleeping with Ian to satisfy her physical needs. Once she felt Dom was the one, she ended things with Ian and started a physical relationship with Dom, eventually marrying him. Kate shared this with the other women, and over the years, each of them used Ian as their surrogate boyfriend, while searching for the one. I'm just the latest in this pattern. I asked Liv to explain her part. She said after her last boyfriend turned out to be a narcissist, she wanted to meet a good guy Vdijmi. She asked Ian to help as he had with the others, and he agreed, saying it was about finding her a life partner. Ian, a free-spirited guy who's always been there to help, would listen, give advice, and sleep with her so she could hold out until she felt we'd gotten to know each other. I felt sick. It seemed like our relationship was a lie. Despite the pain, I kept digging for details. I asked when she stopped sleeping with Ian. She said, when we went official. I told her I thought we were official when we agreed to date, so when was it for her? She said it was the night she asked me to commit, and we had sex for the first time. Ian and she had been strictly platonic since then. That meant she'd been with him for 7 months while we were dating. I said, so let me get this straight. I'd pick you up for a date, we'd have a great time, and then you'd go to Ian, sleep with him, and talk about me? She snapped. Don't make it sound so dirty. I was stunned. I wanted to leave, but we're in the middle of nowhere with no way back but to keep going. Looking back, I wish I'd walked away, but instead I asked more questions. When you say you slept together, do you mean just getting off? Or did you do everything VDJ foreplay, different positions, kinky stuff? She got quiet. I calmly insisted. I need to know, and I'll find out from you or someone else. She quietly admitted. All of it, even more than with you. The room spun, but I still asked, when was the last time? She replied, the night before. Our first time. I wanted to escape. I told her to stay away and tried to get some rest, pulling a few blankets and pillows to the floor at the foot of the bed. I managed a few hours of sleep, but woke up early and posted this update. I want to leave, but the only way back is with the group in a van I don't have the keys for. I've got to stay with these people for 2.5 more days, plus the half-day drive back. I'm lost. Part of me sees the logic, but mostly I feel hurt and deceived, like our relationship was a long con. I feel like I was settled for a second choice. I also have a strong urge to expose this to everyone. We're all here under false pretenses. I don't know what to do. I've got about an hour before everyone's up, and then I'll have to face Ian and my wife. Am I overreacting? Is this marriage worth saving? I can't see how we move forward. I'm finally back home, but it looks like I, along with a few others, might be facing divorce. I managed to hold it together on day 6, though I'm sure everyone noticed something was off with me. I was quiet and kept pushing to get back to the van. I think Liv must have told Ian what I knew around lunchtime because he suddenly started trying to buddy up to me, despite my clear signals to leave me alone. He persisted a few times until I snapped and told him to drop it. Liv then intervened, and they both got the hint that I needed time to process everything. The next 24 hours were relatively smooth. Everyone left me alone. But after I snapped at him, Ian's demeanor changed. He went from his usual laid-back self to being somewhat standoffish, occasionally making passive-aggressive comments directed at me. On the evening of the 7th day, we set up camp. I had relaxed a bit and was being more social. We were sitting around the campfire, cooking up the last of our food, sharing stories, and laughing. Billy told a long, embarrassing high school story about himself, where he acted like a total idiot. When he finished, he said, "I still can't believe I was ever that dumb. I still cringe thinking about it." Then Ian chimed in, "Well, at least you grew. Some people never man up and get over the past," looking right at me with a condescending smirk. In that moment, I saw red. Reason and restraint went out the window. "You know, Ian, you're right. Sometimes we need to man up and face the past head on." Liv tried to interrupt, but I ignored her. "How about we address the fact you used to sleep with all our wives while we were dating?" The silence was deafening. "Oh, did you guys not know? Yeah, while our future wives were holding out on us to build a connection, I air quoted. They were using Ian here as their human dildo. Dom and Billy looked confused and angry, while Sean looked like he had just walked in on his grandma in a compromising situation. I wasn't done. I turned to Dom. Kate pioneered this brilliant plan. She figured out the key to a lasting relationship was taking it slow. She just needed a bestie to handle her physical needs while she focused on the emotional side with Dom. Dom jumped in. Fuck you, Eli, how do you know this? I found out 2 days ago that when I'd take Liv out for drinks, she wasn't just swallowing shots. Liv started screaming at me, why are you doing this? But she got cut off when Sean spoke up. It's true, it's all true. Everyone stared at him. I've known since we were dating. I didn't know it was everyone else too until after we were married. I'm sorry, Eli. I could have warned you. Billy, I swear I didn't know it was you too back then. Billy looked horrified. Sean, we used to double date Miranda and Sarah. We dropped them off at Ian's a few times. Does that mean? Sean just nodded. I turned to Ian. 2 at once. You're quite the hound dog. Then I howled like a wolf. In hindsight, it was embarrassing, but at the time, it seemed funny. Arguments erupted among the couples when an audible gasp drew our attention. Odie was sitting there, tears streaming down his face. He looked at Ian. Lies, more lies. No matter how many times I forgive you, you always do this to me. He slapped Ian and ran down the trail. Ian chased after him. The other couples grumbled and walked off in different directions. I stood by the fire, feeling victorious. Liv approached me and said, I hope you're happy. I looked her in the eye and replied, I've never been more satisfied with myself. I'm 80/20ths for divorce right now. Leave me alone until we're home, unpacked, showered, and fed, or you'll push me to 100. She turned and went into our tent. The next day was the most awkward 7 hours of my life. Between packing up, hiking to the van, and the 4.5-hour drive home, maybe 19 words were spoken. Now I'm sitting in my bathroom, freshly showered. I'm going to eat some chicken nuggets, drink 3 Dr. Peppers, and then talk to my wife. I don't know what's going to happen next, or where anyone else will end up, but it's not going to be pretty, that's for sure. It's been 4 weeks since we got back from that trip, and everything has seemingly fallen apart. Dom and Kate are getting divorced. They've been together the longest and have a 10-year-old son. Dom took the revelation extremely hard. They had the longest courting period of 9 months. Now that he knows the truth, no matter what Kate tells him, he believes she prolonged their non-intimate period because she didn't want to stop being with Ian. One night I had a few beers with Sean. We've been pretty good friends over the years, even though we only met through our wives. Sean said Sarah had been upfront with him. When they started dating, she wanted to wait at least 3 months before having sex, but told him she would still be meeting with her FWB. Sean liked her, but informed her that he was only casually dating until he knew, and Sarah was fine with that. So, unlike the rest of us, Sean was also getting his during this time. 2 weeks before the 3 months were up, and after a few double dates with Billy and Miranda, Sean realized he was falling for Sarah and wanted her exclusively. She scrapped the 3-month minimum, and they were intimate that very night. They've never looked back, and their honesty seems to have paid off. Sean told me they had a small fight because Sarah thought they should have excused themselves from the campfire fiasco instead of chiming in. All in all, they're doing well as a couple. Thanks to Sean, I also have an update on Billy and Miranda. They are in the early stages of reconciliation. Billy is obviously struggling, feeling that she cheated and is using semantics to justify it. They dated for 6 months before going official, and have 3 kids under the age of 7, so they both feel they need to try for the kids. Billy's biggest struggle is distinctly remembering dropping off Miranda and Sarah at Ian's on 2 separate occasions. Knowing she went out with him while having a threesome planned has shattered him. Miranda tried to tell him that only one of those times did they do anything, and that it wasn't really a threesome, more like a reverse train. Sean confirmed that Sarah said the same thing, but honestly, does that really matter? Ian reached out to apologize, and I told him to go to hell before blocking him. Odie reached out too. I guess my revelation was the last straw. We actually talked a lot over the course of a week, even though we were only really friendly acquaintances before. It turns out Ian and Odie have been on again off again for 15 years. While Ian portrays himself as laid back and selfless, Odie knows him to be extremely self-centered and manipulative. Ian often breaks up with Odie or says they're on a break so he can do what he wants without being a cheater. only to come crawling back once he's had his fun. Thinking back, Odie realizes that at least 2 of these breaks coincided with these dating setups. Odie feels the worst for tolerating it for so long and giving Ian chance after chance. He says this was it, and he's moving back to Santa Barbara, leaving Ian and the cold Midwest behind for good. As for me and Liv, we had the longest conversation despite being exhausted upon returning from the hike. I told her I wasn't interested in arguing or debating. I wanted her to tell me everything she wanted to say without interruption, and then I'd do the same. She agreed. It was all apologies and justifications. She admitted it was wrong, but then gave reasons why it was okay or pointed to positive outcomes. She was very hurt and upset with how I went off at the campsite, but acknowledged that Ian deserved just as much blame for not stopping poking the bear. When she was done, she asked if I had any questions, and I said no. I then began. I told her our entire relationship was built on false pretenses. I could see the logic behind her actions and why she tried the FWB thing with Ian. Her 3 best friends did this and all landed great husbands before her. But on some level, they all had to know it was wrong to start a relationship like this. It was extremely hurtful to know she was sleeping with someone else, and I believe it slowed the natural progress of our relationship. It fundamentally changed my memories of our early life together. I asked her, "Do you remember about 4.5 months into our relationship, we had that amazing day? We spent the whole day together, ended up on my couch. We were kissing, your shirt was off, it was getting pretty hot, and you stopped, apologized, said you wanted to but weren't quite ready, wanted to be absolutely sure. I reassured you and you left. I can only guess you went to Ian's after that." She sat there, tears rolling down her face, and nodded. I continued. "I put that energy into you, and you chose to give it to someone else. I could maybe get over this if it had ended in the 1st or 2nd month when we were more casual. But we were spending a lot of time together, and you kept it up with him all the way until the day before. You liked having us both and justified it to yourself." I told her, "This last part may be the worst. Finding out that you were more adventurous and exciting with him is like a knife in the heart. It makes me feel like second best, like a retirement plan, settled for. Just good enough." She interjected, saying it wasn't like that she loved me, and he was just sex, not real. I reminded her it was my turn to talk. I said, "I understand that's your point of view, but that is not my point of view. As your husband, I feel like I should give you my best in every aspect. I think you've given me your best in some areas, but not in others. As a man, knowing I wasn't worthy of all your sexual energy, that you didn't trust me with that, it's the deciding factor. I don't think I can come back from this and intend to file for divorce." Things got messy from there. She started crying, begging, pleading to start over. I removed myself from the situation. Later, she said we were both in an emotional place and needed time. This gave me pause, and I agreed to give it 3 weeks. It's been 4 weeks now, and my feelings haven't changed. We met with a mutual divorce lawyer. No kids involved, and we both want to sell the house, so the initial meeting went smoothly. We're both extremely depressed, but this is for the best. Sometimes things just don't work out.